expecting great things from this course.
Yeah,
Um,
I see.
that's it. I'm thankful
Um,
to be a part of it.
Welcome to Caribbean Thought. We'll begin momentarily. And just before we begin the lecture, I want to make a very important announcement as it relates to what's happening next week. Because I may not be at class next week, we will have a guest lecturer, which it's a lecture that has always been part of the syllabus. We've always had several guests coming to take on various topics that I believe are better suited to handle. Um, we've had um, we've had lectures on Caribbean. We've had Caribbean theology is one of the subject matter we deal with here in the class, Caribbean theology, and we also and hopefully we'll have Reverend Richard Beckford coming to share that day. Not next week, but the following week. But next week, we're going to be one of the topics we're going to be dealing with is Caribbean sexuality. Last semester, we didn't get a time to talk about that, and the class, and but last year, I don't think we took it up. But the semesters before, we've always had invited Reverend Hewitt Holmes, who is ordained by the United Church in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, who is now a minister in Canada, the United Church in Toronto. He's also completing his PhD or his Doctor of Theology. But he will be here to, and this is part of his dissertation studies. But he's going to be talking about um, Caribbean sexuality, and this is important to the syllabus and to some of the subject matter that we're going to contend with because I believe as a class, as a school, as an academic institution that is accredited not only by Jamaica, by Jamaican institutions, but as people, we are training you guys and hoping that at the end of the day you have degrees and education that position you to be able to rub shoulders with anyone and to provide services anywhere in the world. Um, One of the things in the professional world that you'll understand is there is a best practice and there are standards that govern and that guide institutions and professionals. That is important for data and so on and so forth. But there's always best standards is always important. What's the best standards? What's the best social work standards? The best case management standards? The best criminal justice standards or treatment court or to deal with certain patients or to deal with certain situations. There's always a best practice that provides best results because you don't want to do the same thing to get the same results. So as scientists, if we are academics, okay, we have a responsibility to be able to handle situations that certain people in certain positions would not be able to handle because we are exposed to certain data, we are exposed to various situations. Um, we have a responsibility to ensure that we have students who are able to work in a certain way. Now, last year and the year before, we have Canadians who register for this course. We have people in Florida who register for this course. So people all over the world register for this course, and you guys, many of you are doing a bachelor's in social work, bachelor's in guidance and counseling. So you're gonna have to deal with people who are who are part of a vulnerable population. Um, there is there is a part of there's a growing in terms of Jamaican attitude towards gender, Jamaican attitudes towards sex, Jamaican attitudes or Caribbean attitudes. Sorry, my apologies. The course is not Jamaica. The course is Caribbean. So the course is Caribbean. The course is not just focused on Jamaica. It focuses on Caribbean attitudes, Caribbean behaviors that are historical, behaviors that are hybrid, behaviors that are influenced through various currents and so on. And so we explore taboo behavior and behaviors that are not taboo. And of course, one of the growing issue in the Caribbean is, of course, lesbian, gays, bisexual, transgender. And as social scientists and as people who may have to serve some of those people in those populations, one of the things that we have done in this class over the years is ensure that we include in the curriculum a conversation on queer theory, a conversation on Caribbean sexuality, so that you, the students, can formulate since as much as many of us and many of you on the school may not accept certain behaviors, the fact of the matter is there are certain behaviors that exist within the Caribbean. And as social workers, we have to contend with that. And I believe that there's a growing number of, that's a growing situation. There's a public health issue within the Caribbean right now, within Africa, and within Black communities here in Philadelphia, in Philadelphia where I live, and throughout Black communities, of course, where the attitudes, the cultural expression, the cultural attitudes towards certain peoples and to certain behaviors have created public health issues. So we have a responsibility to create conversations around certain practices and certain cultures to be true to the course and to the syllabus. So that when you go overseas, you are able to adjudicate and deal with these things, and we can understand that. So I have included in the syllabus a discussion into Caribbean sexuality, gender, and queer theory, and that will be facilitated by Reverend Hewitt Holmes. And I'm happy that he's the person who's going to be facilitating the discussion because of the fact that he lives in Canada, he works in Jamaica, that was asked to come to Canada to provide services, and there are many Jamaicans who work in Canada and have to deal with situations like these. And we talk about within as Caribbean thought, part of Caribbean thought is to contend with diasporan issues as well, cosmopolitan issues. What is the cosmopolitan? What is culture? Does the cosmopolitan speak for the culture? Where is the location of culture? We will speak to that in class today, as the class progresses. So that's for next week. No, the class is going to be a full class. Once we begin, we will go deep. We're going to be watching videos in the class today, and there will be handout that I have sent to Chantel. Now, Chantel, the handout that I send you, please don't send them the two handouts. Just send them the one that says lesson plan, I think. Wait, hold up. Let me make sure I send you the right thing. I want to make sure I'm not. Just review it. That the one that says. Make sure. The one that says lesson plan. You can send them that one. Okay.
I already emailed it to them, sir.
Oh my God! Both of them?
No, just one. Just one. Just
While
one,
I was
sir.
speaking.
Sir?
And you didn't send them the lecture script?
No, sir. I just sent the one that you said that I should send to them. That's all I sent to them.
Boy, can I tell you, you are good. You are just, I tell you, man. Oh my God. I sent you both of them, and you just in your spirit, you know that you should send this in the lesson. Did I tell you to send the lesson plan one in the email?
No, sir, I didn't. But I think we spoke about it, and you said that to send them only once. So I choose the lesson plan one and I send to them.
Great. Oh, you are amazing. You are amazing. Thank you so much. But welcome to Caribbean Thought, guys. So I'm gonna share my screen, and is there anyone in Caribbean Thought today who is coming for the first time?
Yes, good evening.
That would be me.
Sir. Jerome Hall.
Jerome, can you introduce yourself to the class?
Yes, good evening, everyone, and Sir McKenzie. So I'm joining the class for the first time. I had difficulties over the last 3 weeks in terms of being able to log on. So I'm thankful that it worked out this evening. So I'm a guidance and counseling student, third year. Expecting great things from this course. That's it. I'm thankful to be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Jerome. I like how you said, I mean, quite interesting. You said you're what, a third year student, yes?
Yes, indeed.
And you said that you are expecting to get a lot out of the class.
Definitely.
Like what?
Well, I've been able to watch one and two videos so far. It's very interesting in terms of the Caribbean perspective, in terms of culture, black identity, and so forth.
Good.
Um, I heard you mention W.E.D. Du Bois in one of the clip that I saw. I found it interesting that you didn't mention Marcus Garvey. But
Ah, I will mention W.E.B. Du Bois in the clip. Now, Marcus Garvey is in the textbook, and I deal with him at length. And I'm so happy that you mentioned that, because I believe at some point I think I have updated the syllabus, and if you look at the syllabus that I sent out earlier this week, if you just take some time to review it,
Sir, you're gone down low again.
I've updated the syllabus.
Thank you.
I've updated. Thank you so much. Yes, I've updated the syllabus. So you might see there's one class we're going to be talking about resistance, and we will definitely spend some time to talk about the resistance movement, hopefully the global justice movement, and maybe look at spend some time to look at Marcus Garvey, and provide some fresh perspectives that that we have not contended with in a long time, because there are those who believe that there are those who have positive things to say about Marcus Garvey, and there are those who were there are those in the resistance movement, in the Pan-Africanist movement, that was fighting against Marcus Garvey, because you have Booker T. Washington and Marcus Garvey versus people like Padmore and
Du Bois.
W.E.B. Du Bois. Yes, yes. So Jerome, it shows that the reason why the reason why you have raised the fact that you have pointed out that I mentioned W.E.B. Du Bois and not Marcus Garvey would suggest that you have some information about the history between these two people. Yes, Jerome.
Yes, yes, not much, but I know that during the early years of Marcus Garvey, UNIA movement.
Mhm.
I know that he came upon some resistance from other black intellectuals at the time, including Du Bois, that they were saying that basically is a, what do you call it? Somebody like him delusional or something like that. He's he's having a pipe dream, so to speak, in terms of some of the goals that Marcus Garvey was trying to forward. So I know that he came upon some resistance from some other black intellectuals.
What what
Um,
what were some of the well, you're right, but what are some of the why was why do you think he was deported to Jamaica?
I know that he was charged with mail fraud by, and I think it was a setup by if when Hoover, the FBI boss at the time, um, I don't know if I got his name correct, but he's Hoover. Um, they were saying that basically he was using the mail from what I can recollect, to get money from people to fund the Black Star Line movement.
Very good,
Um,
very good, very good.
yeah.
You know, you don't have to say it anymore, but I'm quite impressed. Where did you get your information from?
Well, I had the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey, and that book, I don't know, disappeared mysteriously. But I had it at one point in time. Um, and I've actually read other materials about Marcus Garvey, documentary and so forth. And I grew up among some Rastafarian people.
Okay, I know I was getting there. Oh my God. This, let me tell you, this is quite powerful. Marcus Garvey is a Jamaican hero, and many Jamaicans don't really know much about Marcus Garvey unless you grew up around the Rastafarians. Unless you embrace your African tradition, and the people who embrace their African traditions are usually the people many Jamaicans, many Caribbean people deem as fringe. The Rastafarians, though, they embrace their African tradition and want to know, but they know about Marcus Garvey, who is a hero. But then within the African, you have those who was fighting against Marcus Garvey here in America. Marcus Garvey was here in the US, was in Britain, then he came, was in the US, was in Britain one time, just so you know. But he is well known here in the US, in African circles, because in Pan-African circles, because of what he did. One of the first person to have a institution, a newspaper, and a political organization with so many following. And the problem with W.E.B. Du Bois, and I'm going to talk about him, he started Phi Beta Sigma, and they believe in academics. The only way that African people can rid themselves of their dependence and their lack and their backwardness, and what many people are trying to, and the fact that the problem that they have created to, they were created to be black and not African. They were created to be black. Okay, that is what he says. They can only, it's only through education. And he was exposed to a kind of education that was Eurocentric, that was European, while people like W.E.B. George Booker T. Washington and Marcus Garvey, they didn't like them because they weren't as educated. But yet still, they were making moves. People, they had a large following. Which was, and then of course we talk about, there was a book I was reading earlier, Poor People's Movements, why they succeed and how they fail. This is one of the reasons why Black people's movement fail. We're talking about, if you read the Caribbean Reader, which is in your syllabus by Ian Meeks and Norman Girvan, and they talk about the Caribbean, and they start with a picture of the Caribbean in Grenada with Bishop. I know Bishop was assassinated by his own people, facilitated by foreigners, because of and how we have how Caribbean independence, Caribbean prosperity, and so on is thwarted by some of these events. What happens internally. But anyways, but we'll talk a little bit about Marcus Garvey, because there's a thing about Marcus Garvey as well, where many people believe that they believe that he was a KKK, and he believed in the virtues and the ideas of the KKK or in white supremacy, and because his black nationalism was a kind of, his black nationalism was a black supremacy kind of, so to speak, was the opposite. So many people, but so he spent time with the people in the KKK so as to formulate a response or an organization akin to that. Maybe because, like Edward Blyden, he doesn't believe in the mixing of the races. Many nationalists don't believe in the mixing of the races, and it's a blight against humanity. But anyways, Jerome, it's quite powerful that I am pleasantly impressed. I'm going to give you a credit for the way you have conducted yourself in class today, and the way you have facilitated this kind of discussion. It's great.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening.
This is Lily.
Yes, go ahead.
You know, I was shocked when I read that he did not believe in mixing of races. I have some literature in the reading of Marcus Garvey, and I honestly, over the years I've been hearing about Marcus Garvey, I did not know that he was so much against the white and the black going together with whatever nations. I did not know.
I mean,
something he's totally against.
Well, but I mean, he embraced it. But you know, but when you look at him, he still embraced this whiteness. Yes, he's wearing his felt hat and his uniform. But this is quite, we start talking about the characteristics, the 7 characteristics of Karenga. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anyways,
Sir, what is the KKK?
Ku Klux Klan.
Well, I was just about to say, you guys, that is a one
Okay.
White supremacy.
white supremacy, the Ku Klux, yes. And
Mhm.
I try to, if you guys don't know what they are, please read about them, because they are not in Jamaica, so you probably may not know. Oh, I apologize. This is a Caribbean thought class, so it's okay if you ask that question. So yes, that's what it is. And it's a white supremacist group. They are the one that did the lynching, killing Black people. And those groups still exist today. Like in many places, you have Nazism that exists today. But welcome, Jerome. Thank you so much. Who is? There was another student that said that they haven't. This is their first time in the class. Who is that student?
That would be me.
Go ahead. Welcome.
I'm Cheyenne. Thank you. I'm Cheyenne, second year student, hoping to pass this class. Yeah. Don't know anything, actually.
You're a third year student, you say?
Second.
Great. Okay, that's fine. By the way, I want to say to the students, guys, when I was having a conversation with somebody about the culture, academic culture within the Caribbean today. And I said to someone, back in the days, they would say, you read for your degree. You read. You read. You read for your degree. And once you get to this level, it requires or it involves a lot of reading. Not just what the professor will give you. A lot of what I have been able to accomplish or learn or garner over the years comes from external reading, comes from I always went beyond the margins, always went beyond what my professor gave me, always did extra work to make me into a dynamic person so that I can become a value-added person to society. Okay. And that is important. It is important. And, that's important to do that. And so I say to you guys at this level we have, and please don't get offended. It is never to offend. Okay. Please, when I say this. Now, I always say to students, the course was never to, at this level, we're not supposed to be, we're supposed to be facilitating, but never spoon feeding. It involves the students doing a lot of reading and reading widely to hone in their thoughts and the concepts. And so that, and when they move beyond this level into probably the graduate level, then now they start to formulate theses. At this level, you write papers at the undergraduate level. At the graduate level, you write theses. And at the doctoral level, you write dissertation. And so at this level, you do a lot of reading. And of course, between the master's level and the doctoral level, it involves a lot of practicality and research at the doctoral level. So I encourage you to, once you decide to come to university and do collegiate work, it means that it gives you you are part of the 5% of people in the world that is exposed to collegiate education or tertiary level education. It means you're being exposed. This is a great opportunity to read and to all the information and that you're being exposed to. Please take advantage of it. The professor can only do so much. For those people who know me in this class, I'm a career student in a sense. I've been studying for a long time. And yet it wasn't until 2021 that I discovered some things about.
Sorry, you're getting low here, sir.
It wasn't until 2021 that I discovered some things because I was at Georgetown doing my Doctor of Liberal Studies, and I was doing the foundations of Liberal Studies 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is the foundations of Western civilization. And when the class almost ended, at the last class, I asked the professor, Professor Ori Sotis, Professor, I have finished the class and you have said much about the foundations of civilization and the foundations of life. You've talked about Mesopotamia, or not even Mesopotamia. We've talked about Herodotus. We've talked about the Iliad. We've talked about Augustine and so on and so Thucydides and so on and so forth. But we have not talked about Africa. Where is Africa in all of this? And he could not answer that question. And then I was left not happy. So I decided so I did while doing research and being very inquisitive and philosophical. I came upon a group of people called the Assaw Asset Society. The Assaw Asset Society. And so I said, what are they? No, actually, I was playing tennis and somebody was telling me about Egypt and pharaohs and so on. And I said, wow, I didn't know anything about this. And then I started learning about the Assaw Asset Society. And then I went to the Assaw Asset Society and did research and interviewed the Shakems and the priests. And it was revolutionary. And I went back with my professors and started researching at Georgetown. The next thing I know, I'm at Temple doing my PhD in Africology, learning. If we close ourselves to the myriad information that we'll never know what exists. Because there's a lot of truth, there's a lot of information that we still don't know. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. So the more you know, the more humbled we are. But never close yourself to learning. And at this level, be open to it. It is at this level, within the heart of academia, that we should be engaging, that we should be exposing, engaging, learning, and building. Yes? Not shunning the opportunity to learn, not shunning the opportunity to engage, not shunning the opportunity to be dynamic. Irrespective, when you did introduction to psychology or counseling or practicum at JTS, one of the things that you do or will do, have done or will do, is you have to do a course where the course involves you learning about yourself and doing reflection about yourself and also exposing yourself to various peoples and signing contracts that you will, about being open and affirming to all and providing services to all the people who will meet you and will come to you. And so at an academic institution, we have a responsibility to facilitate every opportunity for our students at JTS to be exposed to information and stimuli that we can relate to or that we can respond to in a powerful way. And so that I have that responsibility here to facilitate that kind of learning, not to indoctrinate you, but to provide you with information. I taught a course called apologetics. Apologetics is the use of logic to defend the faith. And I said to the students, people who are afraid to engage about the matters of faith, or the concept of their faith, are people who have not come to that solid conviction about their faith. So yes, so that if that's the case, then but if that's the case, then that's when you want to engage with others. Okay, so we have that responsibility. So having said that, this is Caribbean Thought. One final thought before we get into the class, the lecture presentation today, which is entitled Understanding the Caribbean, Beyond the Myths and Into the Margins. Understanding the Caribbean, Beyond the Myths and Into the Margins. I will also share a video. We were supposed to watch Life and Death, but I don't know if we will have time for that. And then next week we have a guest. The guest said that he may only need an hour and a half. So what I will probably have you guys do is at some point have you watch the film, send it to you guys, have you watch it or send the link to you, have you watch it elsewhere. But watching the Life and Death film is paramount to this class. And then I'm going to have you guys do a reflection on life and death at some point in your groups, as a group work. Now, I realize that some of you have just started the class. If you have just started the class, you have a responsibility to find out. Usually, I actually said to the registrar, I do not want any more students to come to the class. Please close the registration. But fine, if you're already here, you're here. What I would love for you guys to do is find out watch all the previous lectures in the class. Last week lecture is not available as yet. It will be available later this evening. And usually I'll ask students to interact with the lecturers by writing a reflection paper. Usually I'll ask the students to do that to demonstrate that you came to the class and you're engaged. So the students who have not, if you miss 1, 2, 3 classes, your goal is to go back and watch all the lectures and do a reflection on those lectures that records the class, just to help you to catch up. So that's important. Outside of that, that's what we're going to be talking about: understanding the Caribbean beyond the midst and into the margins. Now, before we begin the lecture, is there any question that you have once I start this particular section? I will be speaking for like 30 minutes and then we take a 10 minutes break. But Chantel, is there anything that we need to tell the students?
Sir, good afternoon. I don't know if I missed it, but the group work, is it something that you're going to elaborate more on, or is it something that we should go ahead and start working on now?
Okay, let's talk about the group work. The group work, you guys are you all in a group? Is there any student?
Yes, sir. Everyone, yes, sir. Only the new persons. I have placed Dana Francis, Jerome Hall, and I'll put also Cheyenne in that group. So to make it group 8, because right now we have 7 groups really. So yeah, everyone is in a group, and persons have already sent their the islands that they want to research to do the assignments on.
And they are each doing what? Is it 2 islands or 1?
2 islands, sir. 2 islands.
So each.
But sir, they're asking about the rubric as in like what they're supposed to present on the islands.
Oh, I didn't send that yet. Oh, do you remember? Okay.
No, sir.
Okay, fine. You know, that's actually in Caribbean Thought. I did ask them to upload the Caribbean Thoughts blast into this. So I'm waiting on them to upload it. But I will send it. Remind me to send that. But it's supposed to be
No problem, sir.
I'll send that to you guys. We might probably discuss that later. What's the socioeconomic country? What's the socioeconomic positioning of each country? But I will let you know what you're supposed to be doing. 2 major figures. But I will send it. You will get it before the end of this class. Chantel, remind me to send that. In fact, I'll have a discussion about it because
I will, sir.
We're going to be talking about the paradox of independence and hopefully towards the end of this class, the paradox of independence. And in talking about the paradox of independence, I will share some insights about some Caribbean islands, which includes the socio-political position of the island, the major influence of the island, the historical background of the island, and then the demographics and racial makeup of the island or of the country, Caribbean country or island, major figures or influences from that island. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. All right, and that if you guys subscribe to the Neoliberal YouTube channel, we have Caribbean Thought 2023, Caribbean Thought 2024, 25, 26, and you might see some group presentations. They might give you some ideas about how to do them. In fact, I might just share some of them with you. But there were group presentations that have done this before that you can learn from, see how they did it, and it was really beautiful. I just told them to do it, and they created their own thing, and it was amazing. So before the end of the class, I will tell you what I would like. I will just give you a thin shell, and you make it elaborate. You have 15 to 20 minutes to present. The students ask you questions at the end of your presentations. You're presenting on 2 islands. If you're presenting, like say for example, Haiti and Dominican Republic, of course, when they got independence, important. How they got independence. What's the current what's happening in the country right now? What's the racial makeup? What's their religion, the religious values, and so on. Yeah, those things we want to know. who are the major figures in these places, or you could do that. So we'll talk about it later on some more. But any other questions? Chantel, could you also have? By the way, do you guys have all the readings for class next week? Have you? Please remember, we have a guest next week, a guest lecturer, the Reverend Hewitt Holmes. Reverend Hewitt.
Yes, I mean that to everyone. I send it by via WhatsApp to everyone or to the class group. Everyone should have the readings for next week.
Okay,
But I would appreciate if we upload them to Moodle or even send them perhaps by instead of the WhatsApp.
I think so did as well. You can check Moodle platform.
And Chantel, Natasha again, I know I sent you a message privately, but can you double check because I'm not getting any communication from you?
I just sent you the email that I sent. So I did send it to you. I didn't send it to everyone. The only person that I didn't send it to was Lily because I wasn't finding her email.
No, I'm not sure because I'm not seeing any emails. That's why I reached out to you. But I'll wait until the Wi-Fi is back and see if that's the reason I'm not getting it.
Check your WhatsApp, please, Natasha.
Sure, thanks.
All right. We will begin. We'll begin in 2 minutes. I said 2 minutes because I am waiting on. For some reason, I have another computer trying to upload a document and it's not coming up. But all right. So you guys have the handout. The handout. Let me ask you a question without looking at the handout. Don't look at the handout. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. There's another handout that you guys have need for this.
Not
Sir,
hearing.
you're in and out, or you're going low, then you're coming up and low again.
Okay. You just need to say it once. You don't need to say it more than one time.
Good.
Okay. Now, listen, guys. There's some handouts that you need for this class. One is the one that says lecture plan. So you need that handout. Another one that you need for this
What
class,
was the name of the handout, sir? Because you went down when you taught the name.
lecture plan.
Lecture plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Another handout for today is timeline list of thinkers and influencers. Do you have that?
Sir, I think I sent the timeline one. I don't think I saw the one that said lecture plan.
Okay, can you send that one? Lecture plan is 3. Time list, lecture plan, and lecture script. The lecture script, I don't need them to have that one. I just need them to have the lecture plan and the timeline list of thinkers.
Sir, hello?
Yes.
Is it a PowerPoint document?
No, it's Word.
No, sir, I'm not seeing that one.
Okay, I'll resend it.
I'm only seeing the one that said timeline.
I sent it to your Gmail account. Chantel Burton. Oh, sorry. No, I sent it to. Okay, I know where I sent it to. I sent it to Renaldo C.
Okay, sir.
Let me forward it. All right, don't send all of them. Just send the lecture plan and the timeline list.
Playing from minutes fog 4.
So did you just send it back to me?
Did you get it?
Not seeing it.
For some reason, something is my internet is being blocked. All right, this will be the agenda for today. We're going to be defining some key terms, and we're going to be and unsettling some myths, defining some key terms, unsettling some myths. Then we will move into the discussions for today: a people in paradox, race, identity, and agency. Then we will look at post-colonialism, not the end, but the echo. Center versus periphery, who gets to speak? Supplementary content for today's session will be sent to you guys, which I'm having okay, I am connected. Good. You guys, did you get the email I sent now? And finally, we have some closing thoughts. The Caribbean must reimagine itself. All right. First question, as I begin to the first thing I want to ask you guys is, what is the Caribbean?